Right, okay, mobility number 19, we're back in the mix. So we're going to be working on the neck, basically picking up where we left off last time. We're going to be working on the neck, briefly working on the neck, and then straight down to the bottom of ourselves, and we're going to start attacking the ankles and working our way up from there. So as always, find yourself a spot, put some good music on, chill out, or just zone out to my nice mellow voice. So anyway, we're going to get straight into the neck. Now, the neck, we can stretch the neck in so many different ways, okay? So I'm going to show you the usual way that we do it, and that is us getting our arm behind our back. But when we do that, remember, I'm putting that arm behind my back and I'm keeping the shoulder blade, yep, this bit here, shoulder blade flush and flat against my rib cage, okay? So you shouldn't feel anything pointy sticking out there. It should be flat against. So when I do that, I'm not starting to lift the shoulder out the joint. Can you see what I'm doing there? I don't want that. So you're trying to get your arm up as far up as your back as you're able to, and you might feel a wee bit of a tightness, a wee bit of a stretch in here at the front of the shoulder, chest area. And all I'm going to do, the arm that I've got behind my back, I'm just going to go the opposite way here, okay? Now, I'm not leaning. Don't lean. Stretch it out in the neck. And this is where I'll tell you now, it's up to you what you do from here on in, because you can go that way laterally to the side, okay? And you're going to stretch the upper trapezius here, which for most people is probably a damn good place to stretch, especially like I keep saying every time we do this, if you're holding a lot of tension up there, okay? So you can get the arm up and start pulling the head a wee bit, apply a wee bit of traction. But what you can also do is go that way, okay? I don't really know what you call that, diagonal. You can go down that way and start to bring muscle groups at the back of your neck into play. So it's really dependent on where you're feeling it best, okay? For me personally, there's not really a way that I don't go that I don't feel it. But I'm just trying to go laterally on this one, okay? Or, like I say, go diagonal, down. Find an area that you feel tightness, but for most people, this should hit the spot. So with this hand, I'm applying gentle tension here, gentle tension. I'm not going ripping my neck out, okay? I'm just pulling it down. But the key is, make sure you're staying relaxed here, okay? We're trying to stay relaxed. Don't fight it. Oh, for goodness sake, Leslie, what's going on? So all you hear is ding dong with your blooming internet connection. Every circuit. Right, okay. Trying to chill here. We're trying to chill here and the ding dong is not chilling us out. Okay, so you go a wee bit further. Go a wee bit further with this neck. Okay, apply a bit more tension. But again, be sensible here. Don't go hurting yourself. Good, and we're going to ease out, shake out, and then change arms. Glad it's not a circuit, I tell you. If you missed this morning's circuit, get it done. Get it done before it goes cool again. To get the full desired effect, you have to be doing it when it's boiling. Because that was horrendous. In a good way, horrendous, of course. In a good way. So again, I'm straight into it, okay? I've just grabbed my head and I'm just going straight for that, okay? And I'm trying to get the best stretch I can. Remember, we're trying to relax. I'm trying to get that arm up my back. So again, this is us doing it without any equipment. As I've said to you before, what you can do, see the arm that's up your back, if you grab something heavy, you know, a nice big heavy dumbbell, a nice big heavy bag of shop, I don't know, suitcase, I'm trying to think of things heavy lying about your house, I don't know what you've got in your house. Grab it, small child, plenty of them knocking about, yep. Grab a small child by the scruff of the neck, and that weight, pulling down on that arm, is going to do the same thing, okay, and it's going to help you get even better stretch out, okay, because again, we get real tight up the top here. A lot of us walk around like this without realising it. We just hold all that tension and people say relax. Suddenly you realise how much you've been holding there, and again, that just equates to tightness in the neck. Now with that stretch, we're not going to spend the day on the neck, but what you can do also is tuck the chin in, put the arms behind the back, and do it that way, all the same. All you're trying to do with your arms is position them in a way that it helps enhance the stretch of the area that you're trying to get at. Okay, so again, we're not going for the full neck, I'm just showing you some variations. So if you want to do them on your own time, you can. Again, a lot of people might feel a bit of tightness up here. okay, just up the back of the neck, and again, that's when we can go diagonal. Same idea, but again, everybody's different. We're not going to spend the whole time on the neck. Ankles. Ankles, if you're outside, you're outside. If you're inside, you're inside, in case you didn't realise. But I'm going to be using my trusty barrel here. As long as you can elevate your toes, I'll show you the few key points very quickly. You should probably know them by now. It's not a complicated stretch. I'll show you the key points, and then you can go away if you're away from the camera to do this one and get it done, okay? We're going to be holding it for a good 2 to 3 minutes, so make sure you're getting a good setup. So I've got my wall, my makeshift wall, and I'm getting my toes as high up the wall as I can, so you can see how far away I am from the thing just now. Trying to get my heel as close to the wall as I can, and then I'm introducing a slight bend in my knee, okay? That slight bend is going to shift the emphasis onto here, okay? Right down onto the heel, onto the ankle, and that's what we're trying to get at here. Then, all I want you to do is start coming closer to the wall that you're coming to, okay? So I'm trying to get up on top of it. What are you waiting for, Leslie? Christmas? I mean, have you not done this one a million times or what? Come on. Ankle stretch. If you don't have the means, where are you tonight? You've got a different aspect of your field. Not seen that one before. There's trees there. Beautiful. Right, okay. Anyway. Almost flipped everything around tonight and done it outside, but see, to be honest, I don't really think it's any cooler out there. Okay, so this is the classic one where I'm always telling you, don't fight the stretches, and this is one where most of us, pretty tight ankles, you'll probably find that you're fighting it a wee bit, but not realising it, and what I mean by that is you're probably driving your toes into the wall because it's really tight. So what you can do is just give it a couple of bounces, okay? I'm doing quite a few, so you can look and see what I'm trying to do. If you do a few bounces with the knee, it's going to help you realise, oh, wait a minute, I'm fighting up against it here. So I've relaxed, now I'm really feeling it, and again, all I'm ever trying to do is get up on top of it, use my body weight to push down into the floor, but also lean into that wall, okay? You know what we're trying to do. We're trying to move that heel, trying to move that ankle. It won't move very far, but you're taking it to the point that it's pretty uncomfortable, and for the next minute, we're going to try and take it further and further and further. We're not easing out. Okay, this is a stiff one. This is a stubborn one, very stubborn one, and also a very, very important one. Again, it's an easy stretch. We can do this anywhere, especially if you're out running. I keep saying it for runners especially. When you're running, you're working through a very short range of movement in your ankle quite often or not. And so after it, you seize up, and it becomes pretty damn stiff, okay? Even if you don't run. Runners especially though, certainly if I go running, then I'll start to feel it. Okay, so this is it now. Last 30 seconds, I'm really going to go for it. This can be pretty uncomfortable. Be sensible, don't hurt yourself, but at the same time realise that you're going to have to take it quite far to get the benefit, and just try to make sure that you're relaxed, okay? Always trying to make myself feel heavy, trying to make myself feel like we're sinking into the floor. You don't want to be fighting these stretches. Okay, we're going to ease out slowly. Now, if it took you a wee while to set up, feel free to keep holding it and you can catch up, okay? Feel free. That's obviously for people on live. If you're watching it recorded, just hit the pause button and do it a bit more. So again, that's the easiest and probably one of the best ankle stretches you can do. It really depends on what you're putting your foot up against, okay? If you're at home and you're putting your foot up against the wall and you're having to hold, as in you're having to make a conscious effort to keep your foot up against the wall because it's going to slide away, you're not going to feel it the same. For me, I love this keg. Why? Because my foot just sticks to it. The rubber sole of my foot just sticks to it, and my foot, to see you completely honest, my foot just feels wedged. Okay, so I've changed legs, so if you're changing legs, let's get it done. And I've got that slight bend in my knee. And for the first part, you just have to kind of play around with it a wee bit to make sure you're getting the best stretch you can before you commit to it. If it's not feeling like a good setup, I'll be honest, I could probably do with my toes higher up. If it's not feeling like a good setup, don't be lazy, because you're just going to waste the next couple of minutes. That's better. So again, straight away, left side's feeling really tight, and see, to be honest, this is where you need to realise, because I think a lot of people don't realise what they should be feeling on this. If it's really stiff, really tight, you're not going to be able to move very far, and it's almost going to feel like a limitation, as in it feels stuck, like you can't go any further and you're not getting a stretch. That's where you have to stick with it. As long as that foot's wedged, as long as you're trying to push the heel through more range of movement, not the heel, the ankle, through more range of movement, and you're keeping that slight bend in the knee, you're going to get a stretch. If you keep holding it and keep holding it and keep trying to go further, eventually you're going to start feeling the stretch a bit better. Now remember what I said, a couple of slight kind of bounces. Again, when I say bounce, I'm just flexing the knee a wee bit. As you can see, I'm moving the knee, and that'll make you realise if you're fighting against it. Okay, and every so often, I'm just trying to stand up more. I'm trying to get closer to that wall while pushing all my weight down, okay? We're only going to do each side once, so we're holding it for a good bit of time. And like I say, don't just hold it, take it further. You're constantly trying to introduce more range. Try and bend the knee a bit more. How's that feeling? Yep, I'm feeling it. Again, it's probably going to feel more, if they're fairly flexible, you'll probably feel a stretch. If they're really not flexible and your mobility's not the best in your ankles, that's where you'll feel maybe a bit more kind of pressure-y feeling. I'm trying to describe it so you know you're not doing it wrong. But like I say, as long as you're trying to push through more range and you're not fighting it and you're not driving those toes into the wall to counteract it, then you're going to get better, okay? You're going to get better. So that's us mobilising the ankle, and relax it there, okay? Or keep going for a wee bit if you want. So walk around, let the blood flow back into that joint because it's going to feel a wee bit not very nice, maybe if you've been holding it pretty tight. And what was I going to say? Aye, so again, we're going over the stuff that matters most. If you were to keep the knee locked out and to do the same stretch, that's where you'll start to maybe feel the calf muscles getting a bit more of a stretch, but that's not the most effective way to do it. Again, if you want to do the calf muscle, we're stretching out the back one. It's easier to do it that way, okay? But again, I'm up against the wall. So by introducing that slight bend in the knee, we shift the focus off the actual calf muscle and bring it down onto the joint, down the ankle joint, and that's where we're trying to get it, okay? You might find your calves are a wee bit tight, but 9 times out of 10, it's that ankle joint that needs more work than anything else. Grab yourself a mat if you like, or, you know, well, to be fair, you'll soon realise if you need one or not. So we're going to be on the knees here, and this is where, pretty sure it's the anterior tibialis. I feel like an idiot when I don't know the names of things. That muscle that runs up here, okay? Now this is where some people might be able to actually grab a hold of it. This is where genetics are different between everybody. Some people might have the anterior tibialis sticking out yawn, where they can probably grab a hold of it. Some people like me can't even see it. You wouldn't even know it was there. But if you poke in there, okay, you've got your shin bone here, which you can obviously feel. You hit that a few times in your life. If you move off to the side, you're going to feel a good bit of meat running up there, okay? Meat, muscle. That's that muscle that we don't realise we've got, okay? And that's the one that gets really tight. And that's, again, what gives us sometimes that shin splint sensation, especially you runners out there, and we get all that horrible tightness up the front. So again, it's a great one for everybody, but if you're not in the habit of doing this one, it can be pretty awful. So I'm sitting on the knees, I'm on the knees. I'm leaving enough room between my feet for my butt to get down because I'm trying to get my butt lower than my heels, okay? What I'm not doing is this, and just sitting down onto my heels, okay? Anybody can do that. I'm not doing that. I'm going a wee bit wider because I want to be able to go lower, so I need to leave enough room for my bahookie to get between my heels. Now, look at my feet. I'm pointing the toes away from me so that when I'm pushing down, that bit there's getting straightened out, okay? I'm not on the toes here. You see what I'm saying? Yep. So toes are pointing away from me, and that's going to allow this to get straightened out and extended, and that's what's going to stretch out that muscle up the front, okay? Now, I want you to ease into this one slowly, so it's going to look a little bit like this, okay? I'm just going to start sitting down, and just go a wee bit at a time, okay? It might take you a wee while before you actually start to feel that muscle getting a stretch, but why are we going slow? I just want you to make sure that everything's feeling all right. You're not going to strain your knees. Your knees are feeling all right. Okay, so for the first part, here, sitting up nice and tall. Okay, I'm starting to feel it. Again, with this one, you'll probably find if it's tight, you might be fighting it a wee bit. And what do I mean by fighting it? You might be subconsciously driving your toes into the ground because your body doesn't want to go any further because it's uncomfortable. So if you're feeling that, again, couple of bounces, and you'll realise you're fighting it and it's going to help you relax, okay? Then once you're ready, you can take the hands away, and that'll really put a lot of weight down, or if that's unbearable, just have a wee bit of weight on the hands to support you, okay? Remember what we're trying to stretch out. We should be feeling it right up the front of the shins, okay? More prominently, probably down towards the bottom of the shin. And what you can start to do is introduce a lean back. But I want you, if you're feeling this pretty horrible right now and you're feeling a damn good stretch, hold it here for a wee bit longer. If you want to take it a wee bit further, the only thing I'm doing here by moving backwards is loading more weight onto here, okay? I'm loading more weight onto those ankles. I'm shifting my body weight back, which in turn, more body weight is going to push down more, which is going to stretch them out more, okay? So take your time with it. And remember, I'm keeping the stretch up the front of my shins here. It's quite easy to start pushing the hips up, okay? If you push the hips up, you're going to start stretching out the quads. I don't want to be doing that here. I want you to keep the stretch focus up the front of the shin, okay? So hopefully you're feeling that. If you're not feeling it, it's probably because, like I say, you're fighting it a wee bit. So again, sit down into it, give it a few bounces just to make sure that it is actually relaxed and you're not driving the toes into the ground. And if it's really uncomfortable, you know, in good old-fashioned me terms, get on with it, okay? It's probably going to, you need the benefit of it more if it's uncomfortable. If it's painful, okay, because it's got potential to be painful, this one. If you're feeling pain in your knees, if you're feeling shooting pains, pins and needles, burning sensation, numb sensation, ease out of it, okay? But if it's just feeling pretty awful, as in uncomfortable, get on with it. Now, again, take it back a wee bit more, load a wee bit more weight on. It's almost as if you're trying to just iron this out here. So from my toe all the way to my knee, I'm trying to get the whole thing flush to the ground, if that makes sense to everybody. Make sure it's relaxed. If you're really not comfortable leaning back, as in, doesn't it feel right, don't do it. We're going to go for 20 more seconds. So this is it now. Take it a wee bit further. Relax. Make yourself heavy. Focus on your breathing and try just to focus on what you're doing and switch off a wee bit as well. I know it's uncomfortable, but, well, it might not be, but for most people this will be an uncomfortable one. It's trying to separate that feeling of discomfort. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds easier said than done. But take it out, sit it over here. Try and disconnect from the discomfort and try and relax as best you can, okay? It's very easy. Same way exercise. It's very easy just to focus on the fact that it's hard and you're struggling, okay? But if you can try and just find your zone and disconnect from that a wee bit, I think maybe not so much in a circuit, but if you're out a long run, you know that point when we all know that point, when you hit that brick wall and your body's knackered, okay, and you're feeling it and your brain's telling you to stop. I don't know where I'm going with this conversation. We've just gone off on one. Stand up, and you just try. Sometimes you can be running along and forget. You zone out. You're in such a deep thought about something that you forget about what you're doing for maybe 5 seconds. And that's where if you can get really powerful thoughts into your head to focus on things and tasks, you can disconnect from that discomfort a wee bit to some degree. Anyway, it's not mindfulness, it's mobility. So we're going to go for the quads. Quads next, okay? So the easiest way to do the quads is just to get up against a wall. If you're in the middle of a field, that's fine, okay? But the reason it's easier if you've got something to lean against, I'm just going to lean against this. It's just for balance, okay? And all I'm going to do is just grab a hold of my laces, bring my knees together, and push my hips through, okay? It's as simple as that. I'll show you side on. It's easier if you've got something to lean against, because if you're just stood out in the middle here holding this, you'll think, oh, I've got great balance. See, after 2 to 3 minutes, you'll find that those muscles that are stabilising you don't realise are working, they're going to start getting tired, and you're going to stop thinking so much about good quality stretch. So get leaning against something, and I'll show you from the front, side, show you from the side. Okay, so I've got the knees together. Point 1, okay, is knees together. Try to set the hips so that your hips are neutral. If it's feeling pretty tight, you might find that the hips are off balance. Get the hips nice and in line, and then push through. So it's like, you know, when you do a glute bridge, you squeeze your butt through. Same thing here. Squeeze the butt through, that's going to extend the hips, and that's going to get a better stretch on, okay? So again, from the front, I'm just leaning against this, so I don't need to worry too much about my balance, okay? I'm focusing on the stretch. So it's nothing to do with, you know, how good is your balance. It's just better to not have to worry about it. It's going to give you all your attention, to put all your attention on the actual stretch of the quads. So big muscle group, big powerful muscle group that runs up the front that's always getting hammered with lunges and squats and just about everything else. Okay, we get a lot of tightness in there, big muscle group. Not a lot of ways we can stretch it out. Push the hips through, squeeze the butt, make sure you're always trying to extend the hips and keep that tension on there. If you're sitting at home watching TV at night, this is what I do in my spare time. If you've got a recliner, even if you don't have a recliner, get the feet up, just start pushing in at your quads when they're relaxed, okay? It's no use if they're tense. Just start prodding in there with your big thumb, and you're going to find a lot of horrible tied up, knotted tissue, sore spots, easiest way to describe it. Get stuck into it, okay? Get one of those hockey balls, just start rolling it over your quads. If you're into that sort of thing, it can be torturous, okay? If you do a lot of exercise and you don't look after your muscles, as in you don't foam roll, you don't really get any massage work done, you're going to have a hell of a good time when you start prodding in those quads, I tell you. So, knees together. I've changed legs, just in case you're only watching there. Change legs, knees together first of all, standing up tall, and then, like I say, if my hips are feeling lopsided, I'm resetting them, I'm getting them in line, and then and only then am I pushing through with those hips, straightening out the quads, okay? Pushing through, trying to relax as best I can. You can do this one lying down, but to be honest, I don't feel you get the same quality of stretch. Good. Fantastic. Okay, so it is what it is. If my voice is boring you, just switch off as long as you can see me. I'd hate to be listening to me for an hour. I won't be doing any kind of mindfulness videos, or what do you call it? Stuff you listen to before you go to sleep. Meditation, I don't know. Saying that, probably will send folk to sleep. Send myself to sleep. Okay, so I'm pushing through, I'm continuing to push through. Good. Now, after this, we're going to get into the hip flexor. So that's why I've decided to do the quads first. Because quite often or not, when we go into that couch, my makeshift couch, bench, step, plant pot, beer keg, it doesn't matter, okay? If you don't have anything, don't start panicking. I don't want you to start moving all your garden around if you're out in your garden on this lovely night. Okay, relax there. So it's the hip flexor one. It's the one when we're in the lunge position and we're up against the sofa. But again, on a night like this, most people are probably outside, and if you're outside, be creative, okay? You're going to need a good mat. If you don't have a mat, if you don't have a wall, if you don't have some way of elevating your foot, like so, you probably know this one by now, but again, I'm showing you anyway. All we're doing is elevating the foot on a bench or plant pot or something sturdy and solid, okay? You're going to need something good for the knee. We don't want to be putting that knee on something hard, okay? Look after yourself. If you don't have that though, don't worry. You can still do the stretch. You just do it the same way, but without that elevated foot. Without the foot being elevated, it's not going to be anywhere near as effective, but again, it's not the end of the world, okay? It's not the end of the world. You use what you've got. So, I'm elevating the foot. Now, the point to note with elevating the foot here is don't elevate the foot and then have the knee a mile away from the wall. It kind of defeats the purpose. If you've got a 45 degree in your lower leg, that's not what we're after, okay? You're trying to get that knee nice and close to the wall. And then I'm getting up. So for the first part, I'm going to talk you through it. For most people with not the best mobility in the world, you're probably feeling that already, okay? You're probably starting to feel, if I try to come up now, because this side's real tight, my pelvis is like this, okay? My pelvis is like this. I'm lopsided because I'm that tight. So all I want you to do first of all is try to rotate the pelvis and bring it into line. How do you do that and how do you know? Feel for your hip bones, okay? We've all got them. Have a prod in there, find the hip bones, get your fingers on them, hold them, and then you'll see straight away, yep, one hand's way higher than the other hand. Trying to get those hands in line. Once they're in line, then start the push through, okay? It's just like the exact same, what do you call it? Same principle as your quad stretch we've just done, where you're pushing the hips through, okay? But before you do that, it's no use if your hips are lopsided, like I say I am, and you start pushing through, you're not really going to feel much, okay? You're not getting the best stretch. So get the hips lined up first, and that might take a minute or two, Okay, you might not quite be able to achieve perfectly straight hips, but again, you can see me try to manipulate them round, and then once I've got them in line, then push through. So now I'm pushing through, get rid of that initial stiffness. Now I don't feel lopsided. However, it just depends how tight you are. You might not be able to get vertical. My upper body's pretty vertical here, yep. You might be like this and getting a damn good stretch in here, okay? That's fine. It's better to be getting a damn good stretch and be in this position because you're too tight to come here than be up in this position and be like this. Okay? Good quality stretches. You go as far as you're able to and you try to push through it and get a little bit better. Now remember, we're trying to target the hip flexor, which is kind of where that crease of the hip is. It goes up into the rib. Okay? But you're probably not going to feel it up there. You're probably going to feel it more down here. If your quads are real tight, you're probably feeling your quads more than anything, but this is where everybody's different, okay? Push the butt through. We're going for another 30 seconds. Squeeze the butt, push through it, and hopefully you're starting to feel a good stretch. You can really go for this one. If you want to bring your arms up, this is where, again, play around with it. If you want to bring your arms up, you want to introduce a twist. Any way that you can enhance the stretch, but for me, to be honest, I'm getting a hell of a lot just from holding the normal position. Good, and I'm going to change legs there. So again, if you want to get up and shake out, knock yourself out. Okay, but I'm changing legs, getting that knee planted, nice and close to that wall, bench, whatever the heck you're using. Lining myself up, okay, again, tightness. That initial tightness has got my pelvis getting pulled off to the leg side that I'm stretching. So this side's a way higher than the other. Okay, so I'm sitting like that, I'm lopsided. So hands on the hip bones, find them, and then try just to maneuver yourself around, trying to get your pelvis in line first. Once you're feeling kind of in line and that tilt's not as prominent, then push through. Okay? If you're feeling a lot of pressure up here, okay, it's exactly what I'm saying is happening. You're getting pulled to the side that's stiff. So try to line yourself up first. Actually try and grab a hold of your pelvis and twist it, okay, just to try and encourage you to get in the right position. Maneuver the foot. Again, you're going to have to wiggle around. You're going to have to fidget about probably to get a good position. Once you find, yep, okay, I'm in a good position now. I feel like I'm getting a good stretch on those quads and hip flexor. And then go for it, okay? I'm pushing the hips through. When's these thunderstorms coming? Is it tonight? Hopefully. Hopefully. Hopefully it's roasting before it as well. Tell you what, I'm glad we don't have a class in here. It would not be pretty. It would not be pretty. We'd be wiping folk off the floor. I had that back door open earlier on and it did not make the slightest bit of difference. Okay, if you're happy, let's get out of that one. Right, next up, shake out, walk around, let the blood flow because we've been kind of static for a wee while. Let the blood flow, get it back into the hips. Get a sip of water. Okay, take a sec. Okay, so we're going on to the hip capsule. We're going on to the hip capsule, and this is the one where I talk like a maniac from start to finish because I'm paranoid people don't feel it. However, like I said to you before, the more you do this one, the more you start to understand what it is that you're trying to do with it and what you're trying to achieve. Okay, now if you know the hip capsule stretch, which I'm sure a lot of you do by now, crack on. For anyone that's not sure, I'm going to talk you through it, and before you go down, well, before I go down, okay, you've got your femur, longest bone in the body, Karen, that one you were pointing at did on a pub quiz, you said. So you learn something new every day here. So that long bone, that femur, you can feel it, prod in here, you're going to feel it. You can picture what the bone looks like, it's in the socket. Moving side to side, okay, that's moving around within the joint. What I'm trying to achieve on this one is pushing out the hips to try and prise the femur out the joint. Imagine you're trying to pop it out. You get what I'm saying? That's the best way to describe it. I'm trying to prise it out, pop it out the joint. And that's where you realise that you're not stretching any of these long muscle groups around here. We're stretching the muscles within the joint. So if anything, it feels more like you're just putting pressure on the hips. But to get it right, you have to be relaxed, okay? Don't rush it, and if it doesn't feel like it's working or you start moving and you lose the feel of it, bring it back, reset. You should be able to get a good stretch. Like I say, I can explain so much, but after a few times of doing this, each time I do this one, I start to get better at it. I start to get more from it. Okay, so I'm on all fours. Good. Margaret, you're on 2 screens again. I don't know what that's like your end, but usually if you're streaming from 2 devices, you're going to have a hell of a bad connection. Okay, so I'm on all, we've got 2 aspects of you. We've got the side of your face and the front. I don't even think you can hear me. Anyway, I'm on all fours. I'm on all fours. All I'm going to do now is, so I'm going to, oh, here we go. What the heck? Margaret, you need to hang up one of your devices. Right, okay, back to business, everybody. We'll show wait it now. I'm going to try, you hear? Right, okay. I'm going to be doing my right leg. That's okay. I'm going to be doing my right leg now, so everything that I'm saying, please do it on the right. All the weight is on my right knee. The easiest way to do that is get your left leg and just shift it back, okay? Have it resting, but shift it back. So now I'm feeling all the weight is on my knee, on my right knee. My hips, I'm going to push my hips towards you lot on the camera, okay? So I'm coming this way. Now make sure at this point, feel free to go in and out of it a few times, everybody, okay? We need to do it a few times to please try and find that stretch sensation that we're after, okay? Now remember, it's focused on the joint. Play around with your positioning. Now it's important, again, look at my hip, it's directly above my knee. Make sure you're not forwarded out, and make sure you're not backing out. I'm directly above the knee. And it's important that you find that stretch first before we start moving, because basically we're going to be going this way slowly. But before we start that move, make sure you're feeling that stretch in the hip capsule. Again, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to prise that femur out the hip bone. Yep. So hopefully you're starting to feel that. It can feel weird. It can feel maybe not quite right, as in not very comfortable. Biggest tip I'll give you is make sure you're completely and utterly relaxed into that right knee, okay? Because quite often or not, you'll find that you're fighting it. It doesn't feel like a natural movement, and your brain's probably trying to protect you a wee bit, so you'll be fighting it. You won't be completely relaxed. Make sure you're feeling that, okay? So I've got that feel now on my hip. I'm really pushing my hip out as far as I can pretty much go now. I'm feeling the stretch. So now what I'm going to start doing is starting to come forward, okay? So I'm basically coming this way, but slowly. Why slowly? Because if you go too quickly, you'll lose the feel of it. So I'm starting to straighten out those hips by dropping them, but I'm continually pushing them out as well, okay? Continually trying to pop that femur out the hip. If you start moving forward and you get to a point where you're like, nah, I don't feel it anymore, move back up again until you find it and then bring it back. If you're not feeling this, or you lose the feeling, chances are you've started pushing the knee into the ground, okay? Now remember, we're trying to put all the weight onto the knee while trying to pop that femur out. So if you lose the feel of it, you've probably lost the relaxation. You've probably lost that sensation of trying to push all your weight into the knee, and you're starting to fight the stretch, okay? So now you can see, it doesn't really look like I'm moving, but I've moved. So I'm not exactly moving slow. So again, well, I say all the weight's on your knees. Of course, there's weight on your hands, quite a lot of weight in your hands, in fact. Once you've got your hips locked out and straight and you're still popping that femur out, once you've achieved that, that's when I want you to start making the most of the stretch for yourself, okay? So this is where you're going to start seeing me moving back, feeling it there, trying to find any pockets of tightness. And this is where now, because I've done this quite a few times with you, I can now move through this up and down and keep that stretch on, okay? Whereas if you're fairly new to it, you'll probably find if you try and do that, you'll lose the feeling in your hip. As in, you won't lose the feeling in your hip, you'll lose the sensation that you're trying to stretch out. Okay, so you do what works for you. But again, if you're moving like I am, backwards and forwards, which I want you to do, but if you're moving as fast as I am, the trick is to always stay relaxed, always have the weight of that knee fully relaxed. Okay, if you start pushing that knee into the ground because you're fighting it, because it might be uncomfortable because your mat's crap, that's when you're going to lose it, okay? So I'm done on that side. I'm done on that side. I want you to stand up because, again, if you're not familiar with this one, you'll know you've done it right because when you stand up, you'll feel a bit kind of lopsided, okay? Because it doesn't always feel like you're doing a hell of a lot on that one. Sometimes it feels bizarre, sometimes it feels weird. But remember, it's not just the big muscle groups. Within the actual joint themselves, we've got those little muscles that support the joint, all the tendons, ligaments, etc. And that, if that's not moving freely, then the big muscle groups have got no chance anyway. If the actual joint's not moving freely itself, we're going to cause a lot of limitation. So hopefully you can feel that. You know, I'm not saying that you're going to feel brand new, but it might feel like you've had a hip replacement in the last 3 minutes, as in it just moves freely. It just feels a bit loose, whereas this side's not quite feeling it. So we're going to change sides, everyone, okay? So again, if you're happy with it, get into it. If you're not quite sure. So I'm on the left leg now. And again, make sure the hip bone is directly, as in your pelvis, make sure it's directly above your knee, okay? Because you might think it is without looking at it, but in actual fact, you're here. And if you look at me now, it's not above it. Now it's above it. So this other leg, my right leg, this is where you might just find yourself in a weird position, okay? All I do with this leg is just throw it back and then rest it into the ground. But I put it back far enough so that straight away I can feel most of the weights on my left knee. Now, what am I doing? I'm not going forwards. I'm pushing the pelvis out to the side. No, I'm feeling a lot of tightness in there today. So again, if it's feeling really tight, you'll find that knee, this is what I want you to realise. The knee's going to end up pushing into the ground, as in it's not going to be relaxed. You're going to start pushing that knee into the ground. And those glutes, you'll probably feel the glutes, your butt start to contract a wee bit. That's the key indicator that you're pushing your knee into the ground. And we don't want to be doing that because that's us taking the weight off the pelvis. That's your brain trying to protect your body. So straight away, I've got a damn good stretch now. I'm feeling it. I'm trying to pop that femur out. It's feeling like it's no far out. I pop. Okay, and this is where there's no sense in you starting to move forwards if you don't have that sensation. If you don't feel completely relaxed, you don't feel that knee is completely relaxed into the ground and you're popping that femur out the pelvis, and you're feeling the stretch within that small area of the joint, if you're feeling that, start introducing the move forward. Okay, so I'm now starting to shift my pelvis forwards, but all the time, pushing it out to the side. If I move forward and at any point I lose that, stop, relax, find the feel and then go again. Because chances are if you've moved forward and you lose it, again, I keep repeating myself, but you'll realise it. You'll realise it in your own time that if you lose the sensation, it's probably because you've started to push your knee into the ground instead of having all the weight relaxing into it. Why does that happen? Because it might be uncomfortable. If you're on a crap mat or you're on a crap surface that's not very comfortable on your knee's not going to want to sink into it and you're going to start pushing against it, okay? You're not going to want to put all your weight into that knee, and that's why you maybe lose the sensation of it, okay? So if you're doing it on a not very comfortable surface, chances are you're going to have a hard time doing it. So again, I've done this a few times now, as have most of you. And like I say, every time I do this, I start to feel I can get a better quality stretch quicker, whereas the first few times it took me a while. So in that note, on that note, not in that note, I can go down quicker, okay? I can come back up now. But again, you go at a speed that keeps the control there, that keeps the feel there. So again, I know what I'm trying to do now. I can feel it, and I can start trying to maneuver it. And again, I'm trying to mobilize it. I'm just moving backwards and forwards, trying to break up all that tightness within the joint. Now remember, if you lose the sensation, stop, relax all the way into the knee. Okay, and then when you're ready in your own time, stand up, okay, and hopefully you feel that again. Feel the benefit of it. I really do like that one. I always include it in when we're hitting the hips because I think you get a lot from it. And if you're not quite feeling it, keep with it, keep sticking with it, keep learning about it. Hopefully you're the same as me. The more you're doing it, the better you're getting at it, the more you start to understand the feel that you're trying to get. Just keep practicing it if you're not feeling it, but hopefully straight away when you stand up, you can feel how much movement you've loosened off and freed up in those hips a wee bit. Okay, but damn it, it's only Thursday. I was going to say it's Saturday night, we'll be dancing later on, but saying that, you might well be. Right, okay, so where are we at? Hamstrings. Hamstrings, sorry everybody, I meant to say bring a towel. Beauty of it is if you're watching recorded, pause, get your towel or resistance band. Okay, I'm using my resistance band tonight. I don't see why I have to keep using my towel when I've got a resistance band. If you don't have a resistance band, grab a towel. Ideally a fairly long towel. The longer the towel, the easier it's going to be in your arms, okay? Now, all I'm doing here, you know the stretch. I know you know the stretch, but I keep talking as if this might be the first time you've done this one, okay? So you can use a resistance band or you can use a towel. It doesn't matter on this one, okay? The beauty of a resistance band is you can get a better pull down of the leg, okay? And it doesn't take so much effort on your arms, okay? But again, it's completely achievable with a towel, and I don't think that the resistance band's superior. It's just less strain on the arms to be pulling on, okay? So resistance band, towel, I'm hooking it round the ball of my foot, okay? As you can see, round the ball of my foot. Purpose of the resistance band here is when I pull the resistance band, so if you've got a resistance band, make sure you're getting a good pull of it. There's a lot of tension on that band. I wouldn't want it to snap. I'm not fighting the resistance band or the towel. I'm not fighting it, okay? So make sure you're not pushing it away. Make sure when you're pulling this, it's pulling your toes towards you and they're fairly relaxed, okay? Don't be having an accident here. I can see people getting their teeth knocked out, right? So all I'm doing now is I'm going back. I'm keeping my left leg completely straight and relaxed on the floor. I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back until I feel that hit. For me, it's there, okay? It might be sooner for you, it might be a wee bit more for you. But right there, I feel that if I go any further, I'm going to snap something, okay? And that's the area, that's my starting point. Make sure your knee's completely locked out, okay? We want the knee locked out on this one, and that's where the resistance band makes it a bit better, because you're pulling those toes down, and remember, with the towel or the band, you're not fighting the band, okay? You're not pushing your toes into it. You're using the band or the towel to pull the toes down to you and also apply traction so that that femur again is getting pushed into the joint, okay? And it's going to make for a better stretch. So I find that point in which I'm starting to feel like my hamstring is going to snap, okay? And then of course it's not. All I'm doing is I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to make sure I'm not fighting that resistance band. I'm making sure my knee's locked out. And I'm continually trying to bring it back more and more and more and more. Now, key point with this is, it's a simple stretch. You're trying to keep the knee locked out. Where does it go wrong? People try to go back, 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 and then they start to let the knee go soft. Okay, look at my knee. See how it's soft? Don't feel that in my hamstring at all now, okay? Just from having a slight bend in my knee. So make sure it's locked out completely. You're pulling that resistance band or towel down. You're trying to relax. Now this one, everybody, you can really go for it, okay? You might be holding it at a point and think, geez, oh, my hamstrings are stiff. I guarantee you've probably got another couple inches in you, okay? Now do it, go for it. You're trying to go further and further and further and stay relaxed, okay? Now that is really uncomfortable for me, but remember what I said? You have to try and relax into the discomfort. There's no point you shaking, fighting it, okay? Tensed up muscles. Try and disconnect from it, okay? Try your best to disconnect from it, or just accept what the hell it is. Don't screw your face up and go, oh, jeez, oh, this is hellish. Keep going. Again, it's not a hold. I'm trying to go further. I'm trying to go further and further and further and further and further. Trying to get better here, everybody. Okay, this is a great stretch. This is one of my favourites. Okay, and when I say favourite, it's because I think it's a very, 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 very effective stretch, okay? Very effective stretch. Make sure your knee's locked out, okay? Good. Good, and I'm coming back down, and I'm going to change legs. It's a simple stretch. I don't really feel I have to talk too much about it, but I just fear, because I see it on live sometimes, people's legs are soft, okay? If you want to watch me quickly, I'll fire into the next side. Now, I'm trying to pull this down because I don't want to my toes aren't fighting the resistance band. My toes are relaxed, okay? Now, maybe I need to go a wee bit further down. I can see that whacking me in the face. That would be great, wouldn't it? Okay, so I'm back to this point straight away. I'm feeling like it's real stiff on the hamstring, okay? Now, I'm focusing on relaxing, but I'm focusing still on trying to take it further. And that's what I mean by you need to try and relax into it. Don't fight it. Try to make the leg completely relaxed. Keep taking it back more. Okay, let's go for it. Let's get it done. Because it's all too easy for me right now just to hold this position. Feels nice. Feels all right. But that's not what this is about, remember. We're trying to take it further. And unfortunately, that means we're going to be having a bit of discomfort in our lives, okay? But get on with it. We're trying to move it into an area that's not quite happy to. And by holding it in that area, in a nutshell, by holding it in that area, we're teaching my brain that it's all right, you can go this far. You're not going to rip your bone out the joint. Because that's really what your brain's doing. Your brain stiffens up and contracts your muscles to protect them, to protect your joints. And the classic saying of if you don't use it, you're going to lose it, that's exactly what happens with your range of movement, okay? Your body regresses. It forgets, doesn't realise how far it can go. That's why we have to be careful as well that we don't go too far, as in too far too soon. And that's why I would always say it's better doing mobility work cold, okay? Because when those muscles are warm, they're going to move a lot more freely, okay? It's like the whole elastic band. If it's cold, it's probably not going to stretch very much and then it'll snap. But if it's too pliable, you're going to stretch it out and possibly take it too far, and that's when we could strain ourselves. All listening to me talking nonsense. But it makes sense, and it's true. Right, relax there. Good. Right, so you can throw your towel away or you can wipe your sweaty forehead with it. I don't care, just make sure you put it in the wash afterwards and you don't hang it up for people to dry their hands with, gads. Right, okay, where are we at? Oh, I know. We're going to do the... Well, basically, sit in your bahookie. Okay, so we're going to feel the hamstrings get a stretch here, but you're also going to feel the lower back. We're going to do that one where we roll ourselves up, okay? Not going to, still don't know a name of it. Still don't know what it's like, but it's certainly not a sea urchin. Okay, so I'm going to roll up. I'm not trying to touch my toes here. I'm not doing this stretch. Get out that mindset. I hate it when folk do that. That's not what we're doing, okay? Standing up, no, don't stand up. I'm sitting up nice and tall, okay? And then all I want you to do is make sure the knees are soft. By soft, I mean get your hands under there, okay? But not your fists. Don't want your knees too bent. They're just soft, okay? By keeping them soft, we're going to be able to relax and we're going to be able to get the lower back stretched out here as well. So, I'm tucking the chin in. I'm rolling that spine up. I'm rolling myself up and then I start going forward, but again, I'm in the mindset of rolling myself up. Hands, put them on the ground and use your hands to walk yourself forwards. Now, I don't need to talk for this one, okay? You're going as far as you can. Keep trying to go further. Keep making sure you're tucking the chin in. You might not feel that you're getting very far, but keep trying to go further and further for the next minute or two, okay? And I'm going to be quiet because I'm going to be folded up. Key point, do not just hold it. You're continually trying to take it further and further and further, okay? We never stop. I've not frozen, I'm still here, keep going. Tuck the chin in. Last few seconds. Good, I want you to slowly ease out. Oh, oof. Good. Let the blood flow back into your head. Okay, now, where you felt that is really dependent on you, but if you kept your chin tucked in and you kept your knees soft, you probably felt that in your lower back a lot. In fact, you might even still be feeling it in your lower back, because that put a lot of stretch on. I certainly am. Next up, we're going into an old horror, okay? When I say old horror, it's not that bad. It won't be that bad now that we're at this point in the session, it's not workout, it's a session. So let's get yourself up, okay? So it's the posterior chain stretch, but we're going to go for the ankle grabs as well. But we've done a lot of mobility work on our hammies, so you'll probably find that it's okay. It's not as bad as it normally is. Still going to be a horror. So what am I doing? I'm going to show you from the front. Go wider on your stance. Sort your stance out and adjust it to suit you once you know what we're trying to do, okay? But it's wider than normal because we want to get a nice balance between hamstring and groin, okay? And that'll make sense in a minute. If you're too close together, it'll be too much hamstring and you'll probably not be able to move at all. So I'm walking forwards and then I'm pushing the weight back, as I normally do, downward dog style, whatever you want to call it. Now, I'm finding that good position and then I'm reaching across, trying to grab the opposite ankle, 5 seconds, and then I'm back. Compose myself, across. Okay, I'm going to show you from the side, so please pay attention to this because what's going to happen is you're going to do it wrong. Nice and wide. To try to get my hand to reach my ankle, I'm trying to push my hips back and up that way to get back as I reach, okay? That leg must stay locked out. Soft, not quite hardcore locked out. I don't want you putting pressure on the knee. But what you're not doing is this. See what I've done there? I've just bent the knees. Okay, completely defeated the purpose. If you can't reach the ankles, you're just trying to reach them, okay? Trying to reach them, holding good form. 5 seconds, trying to go, 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 go. And then I'm back. Compose myself. I'm across. So you can see I'm trying to get grabbing my ankles, which are so far away. I don't know if I'm going to get there tonight. Pushing my hips back. I'm feeling my hamstrings, but I'm also feeling the groin of the opposite leg that I'm trying to reach. Now I want you holding the 5 seconds, trying to take it further and further within the 5 seconds and you're back. Go again. Horrible one, but a damn good one. Each time, try and go further. Now this is certainly not a nice chilled one, okay? This is a mobility exercise. Okay, so I'm kind of leaving you to it. Do it in your own time. When you're ready, up out of that one. How are we feeling? That's a tough one, okay? That's a very tough one. How do you get better at it? It's like anything that I'm trying to reinforce, you do it properly, okay? While you are all watching, you might look like this. Ha! Stretching like hell, everything's stretching out, but you're nowhere near your ankle. You're going to get better as long as you're trying to get there. If you look like this, however, bent leg, not stretching, but able to almost reach, you're not going to get better, okay, because you're not stretching it out, okay? So that's what I'm saying. It might feel like it's a long way away. Yeah, it is for me. I'm not touching my ankles, okay, but I feel I'm getting better at it. And that's the same as them all, okay? A lot of them we do, and we're like, oh, you're having a laugh. No chance in hell I'm ever going to be able to do that. Just keep trying. Keep pushing it a wee bit further. And each time you do it, you might just be an inch or two closer. And then one day, we're going to grab hold of those ankles and we're going to high five. this guy because we're not going to be face to face. Okay, so what are we at now? We're nearly done. We're going to go and finish off with our leg. I don't really know what you'd call it. Pin in the leg. Okay, this is a good one for the lower back. It's a good one for the hip, glutes. It depends what's tightest. Okay, before we get down there, watch me first. I'm going to do it quick time. Okay, I'm lying on my back flat. I've got my arms out to the side and I'm pinning. Who's that now? Is that you, Margaret, again, making a racket? Okay. Pinning the shoulder blades to the ground. Okay, that's important. Pin them to the ground. Knees together. Twist the knees away. Straighten the top leg out. Grab a hold of it. Now, this opposite shoulder is pinned to the ground. I can't say that enough. I'm twisting my torso away from this leg. Pinning this leg, pulling it down, twisting my body away and turning away. The leg that's below, slide it away. And then all I want you to do is just relax, okay? Relax as best you can. I'm going to show you now again. I'll show you this time facing this way. So I'm lying on my back, shoulder blades pinned, twisting off to the side, straighten the top leg out, grab it. Grab it above the knee and pin it to the ground. Straighten that bottom leg and that's going to let you get a better stretch out. Twist away from the leg and pin it down. Feeling it here. I'm feeling it on my hip, I'm feeling it on my glute, and I'm feeling it in my lower back, okay? Twist away, you might be feeling it in your chest as well. Shoulder, but you're trying to twist away from it. This is definitely one that you'll find you need to completely relax. As soon as you relax on this one, you'll feel a good stretch in the hip. But because it's uncomfortable for a lot of people, you'll find that you're tensed up somewhere. Now, if you feel you've got an all right stretch, you feel relaxed, play around with it. Lift the leg up higher, pin it down more, twist away more. Now, this is a hold, okay? I'm holding this one as long as I can. Trying to relax. Again, for me personally, good lower back stretch. I'm feeling it on the glutes, I'm feeling it on the hips. And I'm twisting away from that leg that I'm pinning to the ground with my hand. Again, you can try and bring the leg a wee bit higher. Push it down, twist away from it. Does that enhance it? Yes. Have you lost it? Then move it back to where it was. Make sure you're not fighting it. Okay, again, I'm feeling it up on the hips, lower back definitely, and somewhere in around the glutes most definitely. And I'm going to come out of that one, okay? Now that's a damn good stretch. Even if you've got good mobility, that's a damn good stretch. If your mobility is not great in and around the hips, then good news. The next one's going to address all those areas. So again, I'm just going straight into the other side. So look at me here. Both your shoulders are pinned, but more specifically the one that's opposite to the way I'm going. Now from here, straighten that leg out. Slide the leg away from underneath it because it just lets me get a better bit of range on. As in I don't want that top leg resting on the leg underneath because that's going to limit the range. I'm grabbing a hold of that leg, keeping it straight, twisting away from it, okay? So I'm pinning it to the ground with my hand and then twisting my torso, my head, and everything else away from that. Making sure I'm relaxed, I feel heavy, and I feel like I'm sinking into the ground.